guzzle down some punch, then back on the boat by tea for a communal hunt.
It's a me! This is Mario's Brewery for the Commodore 64. This was released in 1983. Not quite sure of the legality of this. Not sure whether this was actually commercially released. Pretty sure Nintendo would have had something to say about this. Like, take this game off the market right now before we sue the shit out of you. The early days of the Commodore 64 on the Spectrum really were a minefield. There were loads of little computer game companies popping up everywhere. It was easy back then for people to just program games in their bedrooms. I mean, they didn't even need a software company, they just put an advert in a computer gaming magazine or something. Or quite often you got these shops that just sold things. And put it like this, if they did have a document telling them about the licensing laws regarding famous computer game characters, they'd probably just use it to wipe the floor or scrape the shit off their shoes or something. What are you supposed to say about it? There's no animation whatsoever. It just looks like he's skidding along. Basically, you've got to get to the top of the screen and avoid all the barrels. You have to hit that switch at the top of the screen, it will stop the barrels coming out. Except it's a flipping nightmare trying to get up there, because whenever you jump and try and avoid one of the barrels, you just hit your head on the barrels on the level above. I think there's only 2 levels, don't know what the second level's like, I never got to that. So you look at that, you're going to hit by a barrel and you're not even on the same level as it. I think this is Donkey Kong reimagined. They said, what would Donkey Kong be like if it was shit? Yeah, Mario owns a brewery now. Didn't know that, did you? So he can get absolutely pissed, call King Koopa a big fat spotty dinosaur who should be extinct by now. Then puke all over him. Apparently the guy who made this game actually posted an apology on the internet to anyone who bought it. Which is nice, I suppose. I think he was only about 13 at the time. So when are we going to have the apologies from US Gold then? About all their bloody awful arcade conversions on the Commodore 64, like Final Fight, and just about everything else they've ever converted to the Commodore 64. What was their flipping excuse exactly? And then there's Codemasters. When are we going to get the apology about their flipping bloody awful dizzy Commodore 64 games? Glitchy Spectrum ports. Flipping Spellbound Dizzy on Dizzy's Excellent Adventures on the Commodore 64, which wasn't even flipping fit for release. Really slow screen updates, dialogue you couldn't even read, a bit with an air current you needed to get to higher levels, took an absolute flipping age to get up it. Sit there for flipping hours, bored out your bloody skull. Walk out the flipping screen at one point, it supposedly had 100 screens, but it didn't really, because it was just a beta version. I mean, compared to that, this is almost excusable. And this just gets stupid, so you can't jump over these barrels, you just keep hitting your head on the ones on the platform above. There is an in-game tune. I mean, it's quite obviously the stuff of the dawn of the Commodore 64. You could guarantee if a game was successful, there would be about 1,000 bloody rubbish rip-offs. I mean, things like Manic Miner and Chucky Egg, when they came out, about 1 million imitations. You wouldn't believe some of the blooming things I've seen. I don't blame the kid who made this. He was only 13 at the time. Probably thought this was his big break and making computer games and stuff. But I do blame the software company who blooming exploited him. Probably paid him in watters, so they could rip off the blooming public with stuff like this. And I'm pretty sure they didn't have permission to use Mario, as Nintendo would have been put the block on it. I remember a game called Great Gianna Sisters or something, and as I remember there was a right little song and dance about that, because it was similar to Mario games. If you want to play Donkey Kong, then play the proper Donkey Kong. As Mario himself might say, "This is a pile of merda." Oh yeah, my agent will be in touch.
Poor wretches whom the hand of heaven